Alright, hello everyone, my name is LaughNgamez for those of you that don't know me, since I'm kind of using like my streaming unusual video format here. I've actually got my name right underneath there, so you should know who I am. I'm here to review some Starcraft games, so I'm just going to jump right on into it and load on in here. Click that load button. For those of you wondering, like, why is LaughNgamez not commentating, or why is he commentating his own games in a sense? I actually played in a LAN tournament. I've put up a couple videos of it already, and those were matches I played cast by Axel Toss. I won one, I lost the other, and yeah, basically, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna just go over these replays and whatnot. So should be fun to go over this. This is actually my first time looking at these replays. I mean, there was a lot of matches played that day. I probably played like, maybe like I probably played like 6 or 7 best of 3s or something like that. And so maybe 8 best of 3s throughout the entire day. So a lot of StarCraft 2 in one day. And here I found myself. I had made it through the group stage. I think 2nd place in my group, maybe 3rd. But I won most of my matches in my group. And then there was a round of 8, which I managed to make it in the round of 8, which had a loser's bracket. I won my first match in that, I think. Or anyway, I ended up getting knocked down to the lower bracket. And I was kind of sitting there at the LAN tournament waiting to find out who I was going to play. I'd played a bunch of matches already, but I was kind of nervous because it was either that I was going to be playing it because it depended on who was going to lose the next match, who I'd play in the loser's bracket. And I was kind of nervous because it was a match where money was on the line. So I was like, all right, I'm going to win this. I traveled a fair bit to Vancouver to play in the LAN. Let's have a good result. And so I was kind of nervous because I was either going to be playing a guy called Willow, who I had beaten earlier with my Battlecruiser Rush build, which is my main TvZ build, and or I was going to be playing versus Midday. Midday is a very good Zerg player, a former pro player, and so I was like, oh man, I'm watching the two of them play a ZVZ, and I was really hoping that Willow was going to be the guy I'd face, that Midday would win, but it was a very, very close ZVZ, but in the end, it was actually taken by Willow, so I was facing Midday in the lower bracket, and Midday, he's a very good Zerg, there's no doubt about it, like former pro player and all that. And so I was kind of nervous about it. He kind of just showed up to the LAN and was like, all right, I'm gonna win some easy money, right? So I was like, oh man, this is gonna be kind of tough. This guy is more seasoned than me, I guess, in a sense. However, I think I was like more up to date on like the refinement of my build. So I was still just gonna do my tried and true Battlecruiser Rush. I get in with my Reaper right out the gate, by the way, and we just saw that Reaper. He was able to kill a drone right out the gate, and for a TvZ, that's pretty good for a Terran. And so I was like, okay, that's actually pretty good for me. This guy could be a little bit tilted. Zerg players, like, or after that long ZVZ that he played, that I think he expected himself to win that ZVZ too, and I expected him to win that ZVZ. So I think he was a little bit tilted or disgruntled that he had been knocked down to the lower bracket with me. So I'm like, all right, this can go all right, and I just kept doing my usual thing so far, like just going for the BC rush. Starport finishes up, fusion core on the way. I can pretty much do this build in my sleep because I've been BC rushing for like 2 years now, at least 2-3 years, as my main build. So I'm like, all right, I can do this. I can do this. No sweat. I'm just gonna do the same thing that I pretty much did in the first series. Now, basically just make a few Hellions for safety, for poking the Zerg a bit, get the fusion core on the way, and go from there. The map that we played on, Disco Bloodbath, I'm not a big fan of it for mech. I think I usually do all right on it though, but I'm always a little nervous because you're so clumped up here, and you're it's like Zergs can attack on in, and it can be very awkward, particularly the base layout too. Like, it's not a huge base either for you to get all your production up as a Terran. Still though, I'm like, all right, BC rush, let's go. And basically that's where I found myself, fusion core on the way. And yeah, we take a look at that. I'm moving out with my Hellions because that's what you do. I finished my wall to make sure that if he had made a few lings that they wouldn't just be running into my mineral line right now. And he wasn't. this guy was actually pretty focused on going just for a hard counter versus my build. We see that he's building a Roach Warren here and some Evos, and that's because he's going to go for a 1-1 push. That's what he did to me in the first series, but I'm coming on in here with my Hellions and Reaper, and I'm like, oh, okay, there's a few Lings, there's a Queen there, and I see that there's just a few Lings, so I'm like, whatever, I'm gonna YOLO it, go into the natural, and he's got a Queen here, but look at this. Look at this play that you're about to see. I tossed down the Reaper Grenade, and I know that this guy had been being greedy because he was just going to go for a timing attack. I get into his natural. My Hellions start cooking up his drones. He tries to run them, but Hellions versus drones is usually pretty good for the Hellions. And he loses, like, oh, I don't know how many drones. 11 drones, and my Hellions are all still alive in his base. So he literally just types out GG there. And that's how I managed to beat a player who I think is arguably better than me. Just with, I mean, he made a mistake. He was just being over greedy, wasn't prepared to stop that, and he could have stayed in the game at this point, but he was going to be losing a lot more drones here. He didn't have any, he had 4 Lings out to try and pursue my Hellions, but he'd lose all his drones here, and then his timing attack, he was planning on going for like a 1-1 timing attack, maybe with Hydras and Roaches. It just wouldn't have worked, so that's how I was actually able to take the first match in this best of 3, just something a little cheeky like that. And if you're a Zerg, that's a lesson to you. Always make sure that you got enough to stop the Hellions, because sometimes Terrans like me, or just Terrans in general, will try and test the Zerg player. And so all of a sudden I was like, oh man, I was at the LAN, I'm like, yes! After winning the first match, I was like, basically like, there is hope, because I didn't think I was going to be able to beat this guy. And knowing that he was maybe a little tilted after losing a long ZVZ, I was like, alright, I can do this. And so, getting into the next match, I was like, alright, I was even more nervous at this point, because I was like, alright, I won with a quick gimmick, but now I gotta actually beat him probably in a straight-up game. I doubt that's gonna happen again. So, playing in this LAN tournament was really, really fun. I'm not sure how many of you viewers, by the way. If you are enjoying this, though, press that subscribe button. It'll encourage me to put up more of my games. I play some pretty awesome ladder games. These ones were pretty good games, like just showing how I play, but as far as like epic, crazy scrappiness, they weren't too much like that. I mean, definitely still good games, though. So yeah, if you enjoyed this kind of video, press that like button, and you can actually see me doing the thumbs up in this. And if you're new to the channel, of course, feel free to subscribe and whatnot. So yeah. Let's just continue on into this. Of course, this is going to be my 4th time trying to BC rush this Zerg, but I'm going to stick to my tried and true. It's the build that I've practiced so much that I'm confident with. And, yeah. So, we'll take a look here. Spawning pool on the way. Hatchery on the way for this guy. It's kind of weird watching my own games, watching me play, but this is my first time really reviewing these games, so I was like, okay, let's take a look at these games. And yeah, I mean, nothing too significant really happened so far at this point in the game. I know what happens because I played this game, but it's been a while since I watched it. The LAN tournament was really fun, but I was still really nervous at this point because this was for like 150 bucks this match, which for someone who's never won $1 playing Starcraft 2 for me, I was like, I want to win this. I paid for the ferry to come on over, and yeah. So this was kind of an important match for me. I was like, this is the important match. I had already made top 8, which was my main goal going into the tournament. But then I was like, okay, top 4 is just one more match away. I was already top 6. I just needed to win one more to be in the top 4, and one more match. That's all I was from. So I was doing my same build. Now Midday here. He was pretty much doing just a standard Zerg thing. I think he was gonna try and timing attack me again. He hit his drone back there, but my Reaper was actually in his main base. Keep in mind that last game I was able to nab up a quick drone. I don't think I got one in this game, and I think, or yeah, no, I don't think I got one in this game. In that last game I got one, and that was like maximum tilt on his part, I think. He had just come out of a long series, and now he just died to something as trivial as a Hellion run by, so I think this guy was a little bit little bit tilted in a sense, and I was just gonna try and be as nosy as I could with my Reaper, poking on in his face and all that, tossing the grenade down, just trying to catch him off guard a little bit, because I knew that he was having a tough time. He played like an hour-long ZVZ best of 5 before that. It was a long day, the tournament, and so I was like, okay, I think that's on my side, because I'd been waiting a long time too, so I had been rested up, just waiting for the match, thinking about how I was going to be playing this TvZ. And yeah, I just decided to go for the old battle cruiser rush once again. It's really, it's all I know. I want to learn more TvZ builds, but for the time being, I'm just trying to get better at the game and work on my TVT and my TVP for the most part. And so TvZ was actually the most common, was actually the matchup I had the most faith in. Like, Zerg's at my level, and this guy I think is around my level, probably a bit better. They don't have like it completely mapped out how to punish a player like this who goes for a BC rush. It really throws them off a bit. Even though this guy had quite a good plan in mind, he is going for a quick lair once again. Lair, obviously you need it as a Zerg to deal with BCs. So he's going for a lair. And then he killed me in the previous 2 matches with a timing attack like this, with roaches, double evo. And he's going to be going for it again. Probably a Hydrogen after that is his plan, I think. I mean, this is my first time really seeing his perspective watching the replay. And so, similar to the last game, I was like, oh man, I got to do this again. So I charge on in with my Hellion once again. And I actually make it on in once more. His lings were a little bit too pumped up. I think he had the right amount to deal with it, but they weren't like spread out enough to deal with the Hellions. So I get on in. I fry up 4 more drones. I'm gonna get more as this is going on. He's just he's making more lings to deal with this, but it's a little bit too late. Making lings with Hellions that are already in your base. So I kind of couldn't believe that this had happened again. I got 9 drones. 10, and I think I get 11 here. So yeah, 11 drones with a Hellion run by again. Very, very good for me as the Terran. I'm like, oh, that's some good damage. So I start making Hellions back at home, realizing that there's usually a Ling counterattack if you dive your Hellions on in. It's just natural. The Zergs, like, the Hellions are dead, so I'm going to poke my opponent. I'm not sure if he goes for that this game. But, yeah, okay, he does go for a Ling counterattack. He just lost 11 drones, which is a big deal. In this game, I get out my battle cruiser, and I just teleport it right across the map, right onto his base, and that was actually a good choice, I think, because I realized that this Zerg player, he'd been trying to deal with Hellions in his base, so he had slipped up a little bit, not having his proper started in time for the BC. So my BC, it's doing work here while I'm microing these Hellions over. Just was able to get 4 drones. He killed 3 SCVs in a counterattack, but I also cleaned up all of his lings, so I think that was pretty good for me. I threw up my 3rd CC. I'm going to get my supply depot wall continuing on once again. It was a little bit supply blocked since he canceled the building of that depot, but then I'm getting up my extra gas. My extra factories are on the way. I started my extra factories this game. I started them basically before I got my 3rd CC. Usually I'll get the 3rd CC, but I knew this guy had tried to go, or was planning to go for like a timing attack 3 games in a row, so I'm like, okay. And I died to it in the first 2, so I'm like, okay, I gotta make sure that I have some speed tanks out. I can build my command center a little bit later, and I'm still poking it with my Hellions, just trying to be a pain. Now, these 4 Hellions, I expect a lot from them. They weren't able to get anything else, unfortunately. But they do keep the pressure on this guy. He's just getting evolved grooves, but take a look at this. He's down to 47 workers because, and he's still trying to make the same timing attack, but it's a lot weaker. He's making some drones right now, but he also had to make some roaches and everything to defend. The BC had hit him hard. I'm going to be on 3 CCs, so the worker count in this game is very, very good for me at this point. My BC cleaning up an overlord, even supply blocks him. That hurts. You don't want to be getting supply blocked at this stage in the game. So he can't even make any more Hydras. He's floating a bit of money. He's just trying to squeeze out a few more drones, and he is planning just to go for a big attack at this point. However, I've already made 2 siege tanks, and I'm making more Hellions as well. I know that this guy is going to be going for a timing attack, most likely. Meanwhile, my BCs are just out on the map, preventing him from poking till he has enough Hydras. And even my BCs are moving on in. They're crossing the map because they've got their teleports, so they can escape any real danger. And so my BCs just coming in, wanting to deny a bit of creep. gonna go kill this Overlord as well. It doesn't supply block him again, but still, this is a big pain for my opponent. I start my +1 attack to give my tanks a bit more power. I'm moving across the map with my Hellions, so I'm just keeping the pressure on this guy, and he's chasing my BCs with his Hydras, but I just back on out of there. And my Hellions are even going to be moving on in towards one of these locations. So he's going for a 4th base. But look at this. My Hellions, now that I've got an armory done, do they transform here? I think I transformed them. No, they... Or do they? No. I just run away with the Hellions. Meanwhile, my BCs are poking on in. So I'm trying to do the classic 1-2. My Hellions run away, but not far enough to lose these guys. So that's actually a mistake. But my BCs are also Yamatoing and killing queens and whatnot. So, it's not a big loss at this point in the game. I'm just macroing up behind this. And this guy still hasn't gone for an attack yet. Which, you can't blame him because he took so much damage early on just to those Hellions. So, he's just trying to get up his 4th base just to macro up at that. And I'm like, okay, let's play the game. I'm going to macro up. I start my own 4th command center. I get up a sensor tower because I want to know if he's coming from attack, going for an attack from the right. Meanwhile, I've got a pretty good tank spread here. If we zoom out, look at that. That's a good kind of siege tanks here. And yeah, I'm just poking with my Hellions and whatnot. I've got the BCs, my 2 battle cruisers. I never made a 3rd. I think I forgot to make that because I didn't lose one. So I was just focused on getting out my tanks and my command center. Forgetting a BC isn't the biggest mistake in the world. I mean, usually I go for 3, but I'm like, whatever. So the 2 BCs still do their work. They're enough of a pain to push your opponent around a bit. And then I'm still just making siege tanks. Meanwhile, he's getting up spines and stuff because he's worried about counterattacks with Hellions and whatnot. But I'm still just powering up back at home. 4th command center on the way. I'm making lots of strong mech units. My army supply is pretty good compared to his now. He's still bullying me a bit with his Hydras and whatnot. So my BCs, they engage on it. They're going to kill off the Hydra and then teleport out. Just to lower that count. Oh, he even had a queen waddling. He did pull the queens before in the previous games, but that wasn't actually an attempt at that. And look at this, he tries to attack on into me, but he quickly learns that he can't break me this time. In past games, he just moved across the map and killed me. This time, I am more than adequately prepared. I'm starting to build Thors, getting my 2-1 upgrades on the way. So he's got a pretty good upgrade lead for now, but mech doesn't need upgrades as much as, say, Bio or something does. So I'm just like, alright, getting my 2-1 on the way, making some Thors. I'm going to be trying to secure my 4th base pretty soon after that. The sensor towers really give you peace of mind as a Terran to do that. Meanwhile, my Hellions just poking and prodding. My mech army is moving on out. Yeah, just, wait, am I actually, yeah, okay, I actually decided to go for an attack here. Never mind, pardon, or do I? I can't quite remember. I decided to move out on the map. I'm making Thors behind this. I start sieging up my tanks behind it. They actually get bogged up a little. But yeah, I decide to push this guy off the middle. I decide to move out for an attack. I've got a very good siege tank count, and he only has roaches and hydras. Now, you gotta be very careful when you're moving out with siege tanks and hydras, because with siege tanks versus roach ravager, or versus roach hydra or anything, because the tanks are very vulnerable if they're not sieged. And look at this guy comes on in, blinding clouds go down, he gets like 5 of my tanks that were sieged up, because in a panic I just sneaked them up. Now his units were being tied up, buffering on, or with the buffering Hellions and BCs, so the tanks actually outlast and survive through that Yamato cannon. And I decide to keep pushing here. I'm just gonna say go, go, go. I want to kill this Zerg before he gets to the late game. I even brought some SCVs to repair for that. And so I'm unsieging some of my tanks. I'm keeping this going. I'm securing up my 4th base. And I'm just spending my money as much as I can. Thors, Hellbats. I've got 1-1 upgrades now, so I'm behind 1 set of upgrades. But once again, Mech doesn't mind that too much. And then he attacks on in trying to deal with this. He's got Vipers, but the Blinding Clouds, while they're pretty good, the Roach Ravager has a tough time pushing through. And my tanks, they just shoot down so much. And he taps on out. And I'm able to take it there. So, I think that was pretty good for me. By this time, the Zerg has a pretty good supply count, but I guess his Viper spells weren't ahead of it. Like, he's eating a lot of tank shots before the Blinding Clouds and everything goes down. He's got a lot of units trickling on out. So, just a tough spot for the Zerg. And then look how clumped up he was attacking into that. He moves commands a little bit, but there was just too much Terran. I mean, tanks, just goes to show that tanks, Thors, and BCs definitely does beat like Roach Hydra. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video, I just thought I'd put it up so I could show my run at the LAN. I know it was Shrimp who wanted to actually see how I beat the guy, because everyone at the LAN was surprised when I beat him too. But pretty simple, straightforward games. I mean, the Hellion run-bys really gave me the lead in them, and without them, I very well could have lost. So, yeah. Thanks so much to everyone for tuning on into this video. It's a little bit different as far as my videos go. So if you enjoyed it, press that like button. And if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. Of course, regular commentaries and everything are going to be coming along. So press that like button to show me that you enjoy this. But the regular commentary is still coming. Freak of World VODs and everything going up. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.